Something that I enjoy about working in this home is it's just not seniors. You do a great deal of mental health work here.
I do. Or I extend myself out, into that area. I'm not I, I guess, a professional. Like, I have no real degree in that area. What I've learned is just, kind of fell on my lap 20 plus years ago. And I've had to learn kind of like the vocational way of doing things that way. But yeah, but 20 plus years ago is where it kind of fell in my lap. So here I am today.
I'm glad you do that because seniors suffer greatly from depression,
They do. They do.
and we overlook it, I think.
We do because a lot of the times, a lot of it is misdiagnosed. With psychiatric issues. We're getting better, believe me. But I know that a lot of the physicians out there, when someone is diagnosed with dementia, for some reason, the provider has forgotten that they had and have psychiatric issues. And they've had the psychiatric issues for a very long period of time. A lot of us tend to, just treat one aspect of someone, with some form of illness. They're only treating the dementia, so they're masking, the psychiatric problems that individual has had.
Yeah, I know I've watched from my father and from working here with you, the, the degrees of depression.
Right.
And given that these people suddenly can't think the way they thought and move the way they thought, sure. But so tell me one of your stories about depression or seniors where you have helped.
A lot of it is really doing, gathering as much of the medical information on that resident. What, has been going on in their life prior to coming to Rosa's. Looking at medication that has been used on them, what is effective for them, what isn't. Keeping that resident as upbeat as possible, pulling that resident out of any kind of isolation that they're falling into. One of the biggest things that I've always told my family members and other people, it's not always a good idea to be throwing in the TVs and the recliners in their bedrooms and whatnot. Because the reality is what you're doing is you're pushing that person back into a room, pushing them into isolation. And that is one of the biggest factors, issues, in dementia, in depression, is that a person becomes isolated and they start pulling, away from other people. Well, when you're doing that, in a living situation such as assisted living, that resident, obviously is just going into the room and staying away and becoming isolated. So I've always, really encouraged folks it's not always the best interest to be placing, the TVs in the rooms and the recliners in the room. You really need to be pulling, that resident out. They've got to be a part of. They've got to be a part of.
Yeah, and that's what I love about what you're doing here is normally, and I come in the mornings, your residents are up either sitting around the breakfast table or in the front room.
Yeah.
They're situated in the warmer weather. They're already outside sitting, watching TV. You have them participating in activities all the time.
Yeah.
And you don't give them the opportunity to sulk too much.
No, really try hard not to. Is that, with dementia and then with the depression aspect of that too, is a lot of the residents, they grew up in family, environments as they were growing. Obviously, they're regressing back to childhood. So they do have and seek the bond of siblings because that's how they grew up. So we try to keep, and when I say unit, I mean with that family environment. Wherever one resident goes, they all tend to follow each other, because they will bond, with each other. So, again, keeping them involved in things that are going on in the home, offering them things to do in the home, you can really help pull someone out of depression. And believe it or not, they enjoy being around other people.
They do, and so
they enjoy being around other people.
thank you for all the work you do with our seniors and the knowledge that you share with everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Woods.
You have a good day.